Hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for checking out my latest Bonnie's Healing Journey blog post. It's been a really long time, I realize that, but there's been so much happening in my life and I guess it's all perfect. It just comes when it comes, right? I was looking at my last blog post, which I think actually happened in the winter of 2017, which is coming on probably 9 months ago. So that's a long time in between posts, but I do intend to share on a more regular basis going forward. So I believe the last post that I shared, at the time I had been working with doing some naturopathic treatments as well as taking something called the Hoxsey tonic, and I had done that for several months since the fall really of 2016. I'd been working with those protocols, and yeah, so probably I guess 9 to 10 months working with those. And then, as you know, if you're following my blogs, I was able to go and connect with my dear wisdom carrier Mooji Baba, and was able to participate in one of his retreats and just got to meet him and thank him finally for all of the wonderful wisdom and guidance he shared with me and how much he's helped me on my journey of healing. So that was a pretty big highlight for me in my life in May. And I'm really glad that I went because in July I had some PET scan results which were kind of shocking to say the least. They showed quite a significant spread of the cancer throughout my body, particularly in my lungs and my liver. In fact, they were worse than they were last summer. And again, if you've been following my story, you know that in the summer of 2016, I ended up in the hospital, and it wasn't really looking good for me for I guess prognosis going forward. In any case, some other things that I was experiencing included actually in May my foot started to experience numbness, and it got significantly worse, and so I realized from the test results in July that that was due to a tumor that had been developing in my spine, and I guess it was cutting off some of the nerves in my right leg and causing the paralysis in my foot and my leg. And then also I had quite a large tumor in my armpit that was causing me significant pain in my armpit, of course, and also radiating into my back. So it was a really very challenging time for me in July, and I'd been working really hard with these different protocols I was taking, and so it was quite disappointing news to say the least. But it also invited me to take on a new type of treatment that was being offered through the Tom Baker Cancer Center, which is called TBM1. And how this treatment works is that because of the type of cancer I have, which is something called HER2 positive, which means it has a HER2 marker on the cancer cells. And so I had been taking already something called Herceptin, which is there to slow down the reproduction of cancer cells because HER2 makes the regrowth quite aggressive, apparently. In any case, the Herceptin was starting to not work so well anymore, and so this type of chemo treatment that was proposed to me, I was told that it really didn't have a lot of side effects associated with it. In other words, I wouldn't lose my hair, my eyebrows, I wouldn't have a lot of soft tissue damage as a result. They do have to monitor and keep track of what's happening in my liver because it can have an impact on the enzymes of the liver. So as a result, I've had to get blood work done every 3 weeks prior to any treatment just to make sure that I'm okay there. So how this, again, getting back to how this treatment works, is so it kind of acts a little bit like a Trojan horse, where the TBM1 is combined with the Herceptin, and unless it doesn't release unless the Herceptin binds to the HER2 marker. So once the Herceptin binds to the HER2 marker on the cancer cell, the chemo gets released into only the cancer cells, and so it doesn't actually impact, from what I'm told, other healthy cells in the body, or at least the impact is very minimal. So that I started that treatment in July. And since that time, aside from having a reaction after the first one, I've been feeling so much better. I have much more energy. The tumor in my armpit has completely gone away. I don't feel anything anymore. I don't have any pain in my back. The only challenge with this type of chemo treatment is that it's less likely, I guess, to penetrate the spine and the spinal column. And so I have, a couple weeks ago, I guess now, I underwent 5 radiation treatments just to that one spot on my spine. And they say that this type of treatment, it doesn't necessarily get rid of cancer, but it will definitely slow the growth of it, which is something I felt I really needed to do at this point, and wasn't sure what else would help me, because, as I said, I was starting to experience paralysis in my leg, and the oncologist said that if that were to get worse in my spine, it could potentially cause complete paralysis on the bottom half of my body, so I would basically lose all functionality, including bowel function and so on. So yeah, so I felt that this was an important step for me to take, and feel really grateful for having those treatments available for me. At this point, I have had, as I said, blood work every 3 weeks, and they've been keeping track of something called an LDH, which is a marker they use to kind of gauge how much tissue damage there is in the body, and it can also gauge like how much cancer burden there is. And in July, when I had the blood tests done, my marker, so the normal range, so for someone who they say is like a healthy person, the range would be between 100 and 265. And at the time in July when I had the marker, it was at 1,000. This was before I started doing any of the TDM1 or the radiation. And I just had blood work done, and the marker came back at 184. Yay! Which is well within the normal range of 100 to 265. So that seems like it's pretty good news, and a good indication that on some level this treatment is really working for me. So happy about that. Yeah, so that's what's happening with my health. And so in terms of what I've just been up to, other than that, I've been, as you know, really spending a lot of time and putting a lot of effort into creating this website for myself, the I Am the Guru site. I've also started recording some of my music, which is a slow process, but it's a fun process. I'm enjoying it a lot. I've really created some really amazing partnerships with people, and have some really fun and interesting events that are being planned and will be coming up in the near future. So just continuing to embrace life, feeling amazing physically, and appreciating and valuing every moment, because I know it can change really quickly. So yeah, so that's where things are at. Thank you for tuning in, and I really invite you to continue following my journey. Again, hoping to offer some more regular updates going forward. So many blessings, and have a wonderful day.